Good afternoon. Welcome to Tribune News on Q, your go-to afternoon news source only here at Daily Tribune. We're live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Daily Tribune PH on YouTube, and at Daily Tribune Official on TikTok. For today's headlines, Vice President Sara Duterte criticized attempts to restrict movement inside the Senate to facilitate the serving of an international criminal court arrest warrant on Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa said Tuesday he will remain in the Senate and vowed to use all legal remedies to block the International Criminal Court case filed against him. 13.2 million pesos worth of agricultural damages were incurred from Mount Mayon's ashfall affecting 228 farmers with 102 hectares of agricultural areas. The National Union of Journalists of the Philippines on Monday raised concerns over the lockdown imposed at the Senate, urging the chamber to ensure that media practitioners have access to the premises. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa pleaded President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Tuesday to protect every Filipino against extrajudicial rendition. Money supply grew faster in March, driven by high borrowings from households and non-financial corporations, according to BSP. Antoine Ubi ruled Stage 12 of the MPTC Tour of Luzon at Mountainous Daang Kalikasan, here to move into second behind overall leader Nikita Shulchenko. Agot Isidro slammed the 13 senators who voted to unseat Senate President Vicente Tito Soto III and install Alan Peter Cayetano. Today is 12th day of May, Tuesday, and I'm Chynna Basilaje bringing you today's top stories. Let's get started. Vice President Sara Duterte criticized attempts to restrict movements inside the Senate to facilitate the serving of an International Criminal Court arrest warrant on Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Speaking to an interview in The Hague, Duterte was asked to comment on the Senate leadership change and claims that security personnel were preparing to lock down the chamber to apprehend de la Rosa. Duterte responded by emphasizing the legal limits of enforcing ICC directives in the country. Meanwhile, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa said Tuesday he will remain in the Senate and vowed to use all legal remedies to block the International Criminal Court case filed against him in connection with alleged extrajudicial killings during the former President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs. He said his camp filed a manifestation before the Supreme Court seeking judicial protection and is awaiting for the court's ruling. The law firm of Torreon and Partners said it filed an urgent manifestation with an omnibus motion for guidance on the legal effect of the ICC arrest warrant. And some 13.2 million pesos worth of agricultural damages were incurred from Mount Mayon's ashfall affecting 228 farmers with 102 hectares of agricultural areas and a volume of production loss at 364 metric tons. In a report by the Department of Agriculture Regional Field Office Region 5 on May 8, 2026, validated damages and losses outside the permanent danger zone have been reported in rice, high-value crops, and livestock amounting to 13.2 million pesos. And the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines on Monday raised concerns over the lockdown imposed at the Senate, urging the chamber to ensure that media practitioners are allowed to access and exit from the Senate building. The Senate was placed under a lockdown late Monday afternoon after the National Bureau of Investigation allegedly attempted to serve Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa an arrest order from the International Criminal Court. Meanwhile, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa pleaded President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Tuesday to protect every Filipino against extrajudicial rendition, reminding him that it is his moral obligation and not just his constitutional mandate. The senator was apparently referring to the Internal Criminal Court, which has issued a warrant of arrest against him over his alleged involvement in the Duterte administration's war on drugs. As former Philippine National Police Chief From 2016 to 2018, De La Rosa led the Duterte administration's anti-drug campaign that resulted in thousands of deaths and has drawn international scrutiny. And the money supply expanded at a faster pace in March, driven by increased borrowings from household and non-financial corporations, according to preliminary data from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The central bank said domestic liquidity, a broad measure of money supply that includes currency in circulation, bank deposits, and other financial assets that are easily convertible to cash, grew by 12.0% year-on-year to 20.4 trillion pesos in March 2026, faster than 10.3% increase recorded in the previous month based on preliminary BSP data. And the Philippine Stock Exchange Index slipped by 20.48 points or 0.34% to close at 5,966.37, while the broader All Shares Index declined 10.95 points or 0.32% to 3,377.48. Sectoral indices ended mixed during the trading session. The industrial sector posted the biggest decline, falling 1.58% to 8,917.81, followed by property, which dropped 1.25% to 1,939.47. Holding firms also edged lower by 0.26% to 4,448.44. Meanwhile, gains were seen in the financial services and mining and oil sectors. Mining and oil led advancers, climbing 1.46% to 18,403.63, while financials rose 0.45% and services increased 0.25%. Meanwhile, Antoine Ubi ruled to Stage 12 of the MPTC Tour of Luzon at Mountainous Daang Kalikasan here to move into second behind overall leader Nikita Shulchenko. The French rider of local team 7-Eleven Road Bike Philippines crossed the finish line in 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 37 seconds to register his second lap win after topping the punishing Stage 10 that ended at Besang Pass in Cervantes, Ilocos Sur. And Agot Isidro slammed the 13 senators who voted to unseat Senate President Vicente Tito Sotto III and install Alan Peter Cayetano as the new Senate chief, branding them 13 Satanas sa Senado in a series of posts on X. In a separate post, the actress directly called out Cayetano for quoting Bible verses amid the leadership change. APC, can you please stop uttering Bible verses kasi sure ako hindi natutuwa si God sa'yo? Hashtag 13 Satanas sa Senado, she said. And Katribu, did you know, on May 12, 1932, William Cameron Forbes, then recently retired U.S. ambassador to Japan and former Governor General of the Philippines, expressed his opposition to Philippine independence, a measure pending in the U.S. Congress. Forbes stated that while Filipinos now have freedom and opportunity for movement in speech, in worship, and in employment, and free access to our markets and our shores, the measures under consideration might result in a much more oligarchical form of government than the one they enjoy now. And now, with more than 700,000 views, a user shared a video of his cat being caught in the middle of stealing food and freezing when it realized it had been caught. The user jokingly said the cat acted as if it were trying to rob a house but failed. That's all for now. Join us again at 4:30 p.m. still here on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Daily Tribune PH on YouTube, and at Daily Tribune Official on TikTok. Once again, I'm Chynna, and this has been Tribune News on Q.